Hello! How is everyone doing today? My name's Alex, but if you're watching this video, you probably know me as Deacon, or Deacon, or however you pronounce it. I'm not completely sure myself. Anyway, I have one of the most demanding jobs in the world. I am a professional ball racer. Yeah, it's a tough job, but somebody's gotta do it. As my good friend Johnny Berry once said, we're the last of a dying breed. Thank you, Johnny Berry. Wow, you know this video is going to be terrible since we're not even a minute in and I already used a country song. But it can only get better from here, I suppose. Like I said, us ball racers are dying out. Some of these crazy mutants with several extra appendages are having trouble counting all the pro ball racers on their fingers nowadays. So, it's been several months since I last made a video about BallRacer, and I had this sudden urge to make a comprehensive guide telling you all you need to know in order to succeed in the game of BallRacer. It's time for... cue the graphic. Not that graphic, the other graphic. There we go. The BallRacer guide. Everything you need to know. Now, if you're still watching this video and don't have a clue what I'm talking about, I'm referring to the game BallRacer, which can be found on OMGPOP.com. Now, I already have the site bookmarked, so I'm just going to go there. Now, when you first get to the site, you'll be sent to your homepage. Since I'm logged in, I can see what all my friends are doing and such. Ah, here's my good friend Fappable. I'd fap to that. Anyway, you go up to Games at the top and click BallRacer. Once the screen loads, you can click Play Now to get sent to an active match. Now, one of the first things you'll notice about BallRacer that will become evident after a few matches is that some of these people may be very good at this game, and you may have a hard time even finishing against them. That's because after the match, when you look at their game level, you may see some crazy number like level 200 or even higher. These players have a ton of experience playing the game, and as a result know many tips and tricks on how to do the tracks faster. It's my goal in this video to teach you as many of these tricks as I can. But we'll start with the basics. You see these yellow smiling boxes on the track? Well, when you roll over one of these, one of two things can happen. You can either get a boost, or you can get a coin. Now boosts do what you expect. If you press spacebar, you'll boost. But coins, the more coins you have, the more powerful your boost. But boosting's not the only thing you can do to improve your times. You can also do what's called a curve jump on many tracks. All you do, you come up to a small curve on a track and just jump in the middle of it. Let's see how this affects your time. Let's do no curve jumps for the start of this track. As you can see, we entered the loop around 11:30, 11:40. Now let's do curve jumps on the two curves. And as you can see, we enter the loop nearly half a second faster. You can also do a variation of a curve jump at any time when you face a wall. All you do is you go up to the wall and you press jump right when you hit the wall. This is called a wall jump. The whole point in wall jumps is keeping your momentum. If you slow down too much for the wall jump, then you lose momentum. You want to keep your speed doing the wall jump if all possible. You can wall jump in any direction. Left, right, or even down if the track allows it. The most important wall jumps are those before ice, because if you don't make the wall jump, you're going to have to go slow on the ice. You can even boost on a wall jump or directly after to gain that extra boost of speed that you might need. Another thing that most new players don't figure out is that you can hold down the jump button to jump multiple times in a row. With a double or triple jump, you can jump higher and reach parts of the track that weren't possible to reach before. You can also do what's called a boost jump. To execute a boost jump, do a double jump, but then boost at the exact instant that you jump the second time. The timing may be a bit difficult to get down at first, but it opens the door for countless shortcuts, as boost jumping will enable you to get higher than any other method, you can reach parts of tracks that certainly weren't possible before, and even skip large parts of tracks this way. But sometimes, you'll want all the power of a boost jump, but not the height. Well, you can do something that I call a jump boost, not to be confused with a boost jump. A jump boost is when you boost right after a jump. Notice in all three of these cases how the boost is clearly after the jump. Jump boosts allow you to get lower and enable you to try some shortcuts that weren't possible before. So now that you know some general tricks, let's get more specific and learn how to apply them to each of BallRacer's 21 tracks. I'll discuss all the critical points on each track where you should put a method that I talked about to use. Let's get started. BallRacer. Now the start of this track's a little tricky because there's a lot going on. You want to jump up here and get the boost at the start. Then you're going to slow down on this curve so you can jump and wall jump, and boost if you have it. Now you're going to go in the loops and jump a little bit to keep your speed. You're hoping to get boost there if you can. Now at the end, you're going to jump right after the checkpoint flag, and then you have to hit your wall jumps. It's all about the wall jumps here. Now, you can also skip one or both of the loops. It's quite difficult, and I have only been able to do it a few times. Balls. Lols. Now, at the start of this track, you're going to want to jump over the wall on the left. So you're going to go all the way to the pit, slow down, now start barely tapping left, but then release it, and then double jump boost over. But that's not as fast as you could do it. You could do a reverse boost jump, where you start out going to the right, then hold left and up to double jump and boost over. And then at the end, you just smooth sailing to the finish. You can also skip the loop at the end. Now if you have boost, you're going to want to jump boost over the pit at the end to save yourself some time. If you end up going the long way, you can do some fancy jumping in here to do another shortcut, which can skip a lot of the track at the end. Of course, if you fail to make it over the pit here, you don't pass a checkpoint, so you failed. There's also some more crazy shortcuts in here that aren't as practical, like you can jump over this wall, but you shouldn't have to do that. An easy start. So at an easy start, you're going to want to fall off the left side of the track just as you jumped over the wall on the left at Balls Lulls. You're going to do the same technique as of a double reverse jump. Start out going right, then hold left and double jump to land on top of the track. Then roll off slowly, and as you fall, land on the ceiling above the finish, and then boost to the end. You can also boost on the way down. It'll make you bounce higher, and it all depends on your landing on that platform. Some people have trouble with the double reverse jump, so you can jump and boost onto that platform at the top, and then fall down like you would before. Now, if you don't slow down enough, you're in danger of hitting this corner, which will give you too much speed, and you'll fail. You can also do some crazy shortcuts here on the long way, like jumping over this loop, but it's not practical at all, as you can do the shortcut in under 8 seconds, and you still can't do the long way in less than 12 or 13. So we're going to take a short break here. As you can see, this video is rather long, and it would be quite hard to keep your attention for nearly an hour if this were the only thing I talked about. So enjoy these words from our sponsors, and I'll be back in a minute. OMGPOP, popping your dingles since 2006. Big Mac. Boom, 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 Big Mac. Boom, 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 Big Mac. I need a double cheeseburger and hold the lettuce. Don't be frontin', son, no seeds on the bun with me. Up in this drive-through, order for two. I got some craving for number 9 like my shoe. Need some chicken up in here, in this fizzle. Frizzle my mizzle, extra salt on the frizzle. Dr. Pepper, my brother, another for your mother. Double, super size, and don't forget the fries.
McDonald's, ¿quién no entiende en inglés así que por favor deje?
Welcome back to the BallRacer Guide, everything you need to know. I hope you enjoyed those last 2 advertisements. Our sponsors really love having their products mentioned as much as possible. Also, a big shout out to the can for the idea for that last advertisement. Now back to the guide. You might be wondering where I got those pictures of every track and every shortcut. Well, they're all taken from a site called the BallRacer Guide. I'll give you a quick history lesson here. A long time ago, even before my earliest days of racing balls, there was a guy named MMDE who ran a fan site for OMGPOP. The most interesting part of his site was the leaderboards, where users could submit their fastest times for tracks in BallRacer and hovercart racing. BallRacer was the only one that was really used, and it became a challenge to see who could post the fastest times for all of the tracks. Well, as the site died down and the people who ran that site stopped playing and therefore stopped updating, some of the modern-day BallRacers got an idea to remake the leaderboards and even create a full guide to the game, which I've been kind enough to include in this video. When you go to the BallRacer Guide's site, which I've posted a link to in the description, you'll be taken to the homepage, which has the site news and this awesome picture I drew. In addition to hosting the guide and shortcuts for each and every track, you can also see the leaderboards for these tracks and submit your own times to see where you stand. There's also an overall ranking of all who have submitted times based on preset standards for each track. And if you get bored, there is also a picture maker, so you can make your own BallRacer hamster picture like the one I've showed off in this video. Now that you know about the guide itself, let's get back to my guide. I don't know about this one. Now the first thing you're going to do here, no matter what shortcut you're trying, is you're going to hold right enough at the start so you can jump out of the little ditch you're in. Then you're going to slow down here to get the boosts in this pit, then jump out. Now you're going to jump in this first curve, but not the one after it because you'll get too much speed for the shortcut. Now you're going to want to double jump here, not too early or you'll hit the ceiling. And then once you land, you're going to want to use your boosts so you can get up the loop. Good time here, around 17 seconds. Now, if you can get a flat landing after your double jump, your time will improve significantly. Use your boosts right after the landing, and you see, a little bit faster. Now, you can get a really low jump over this pitch if you jump at just the right moment, and then continue the track normally. But because you only have one boost, if you get a bad landing like this, you won't be able to finish. Now, with a bad landing, you can still get to the finish sometimes, but it's just not as fast. As you can see, 19 seconds here. The hourglass of pure pain. Now, the fastest shortcut you can do here is jumping out of the hourglass itself. You're going to want to start going right, and then once you land on the first flat platform, you're going to want to boost jump out. Now, a lot of people have trouble with that, so if you go backwards at the start, and then hold up and right, you can double boost jump out. Now, when you land, you want to hold right and up, and you can jump over this loop and get to the finish faster. You're basically doing both shortcuts in one, and you can get to the finish with a pretty fast time. It's also possible to skip the loops at the end, but it's very difficult, and if you try, you'll more than likely fail. Now, if you can't make it out of the hourglass, and you have a boost here, you can double jump boost over the loops, and still get to the finish with a decent time. Now, Jenna wanted me to brag here about her crappy times. Look at that, 16 seconds, how pro is that? The Pogo. Now, as you'll see here from this graphic, there are many different ways to do this shortcut, but I'm going to show you the way I do, which is none of the above, actually. First of all, you're going to slow down to get the boosts in the tunnel. Then you're going to slow down on this ice ramp and then double jump boost over. The timing's different depending on how many boosts you have. Here with 2, you're going to boost at the end, and you get the boosts in the curve and boost into the rubber to get a good time at the finish. Now, your landing at the end depends on how many boosts you have. With 2 boosts, you may not make it all the way, and you might land a little bit early. Notice your time isn't as good. If you only have 1 boost and 3 coins, then your boost is going to be very powerful, and you'll have to slow down to avoid running into the ice wall. You can still get a pretty good time with that, just slowing down isn't the best thing you can do. And with 3 boosts and 1 coin, it'll be very hard to make it over. You can also try to jump over the second rubber, but you'll more than likely go too far, as I did here. The G-Force. Now, this is actually a very complicated track. It may seem easy at first, but there's a lot going on. Now, at the start, if you hold left and up, you can get a little start here that's a little faster. Now you're going to double jump boost after the jump to get over this ramp. You go over both ramps. It's a lot faster. Then coming up to this shortcut, you're going to jump off of this curve and then boost if you have it to go really fast up. And then jump off these curves. Then you're going to jump into this ceiling here to slow down enough so you can jump up here and get these boosts. Then if you have a boost, you're going to use it and you can land on this upper section that takes you straight to the finish. Now, if you have trouble with double jumping, you can make it over both ramps in 1 jump. If you hit the tip of the first one, you can boost over the second one if you do it just right. Now you may have noticed here that if you hit the tip of the second one, let's see what happens. If you jump and hit the tip of the second ramp with your boost, you can skip almost half of the track. And you'll be right up in here to the curves, where you can jump and do just like you would if you were going the long way. If you're way behind and you have multiple boosts here, you can double jump and double boost up to skip even more of the track that you didn't think was possible. And then use your boost at the end to get a good finish. Balls everywhere. Now this is the simplest track out there. The shortcut is not hard at all, but perfecting it is extremely difficult. Now you're going to jump here at the start, the closer to the end the better. Then you're going to jump off this little curve, and then you're going to jump and boost into the little hole into the finish. Now, 12:07, that's a decent time. How to improve your time with that? Well, it all depends on the landing after this jump. As you can see, this landing was a little better. I didn't go as high, and your time will show that. 11:96, a little bit faster. Your ultimate goal is a flat landing after this jump, which is difficult to pull off, but it will get you a great time. Steps of Love. Now, this track, the shortcut isn't very hard either, but perfecting it is also a challenge. There are 4 steps at the beginning. You're going to want to jump over the first one and get really low without hitting the ceiling. Then jump over the second one, jump and boost over the third and fourth. Then you'll set yourself up for the shortcut. Slow down a bit and jump off of this ramp, and you'll go backwards. And then jump to the finish, and there you go. Once again, you're going to want to go under that loop. But you can also try going over the loop. It's not as fast, but it's more fun. You're going to jump and boost off of the ramp, and you'll go over the loop, and you can land on the platforms right before the finish. And don't worry if you hit the loop. Hitting the loop is just as fine. As long as you jump off of the loop and you jump close to horizontal, you can land and get just as good a finish as with going over the loop. Whoa, guys, where are you going? You know there's 21 tracks in BallRacer, right? We've only gone through 9 of them. We're not even halfway done. And you don't want to miss it. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Blonde woman is distraught because she fears her husband is having an affair. So, she goes to a gun shop and buys a handgun. The next day, she comes home to find her husband in bed with a beautiful redhead. She grabs the gun and holds it to her own head. The husband jumps out of bed, begging and pleading her not to shoot himself. Hysterically, the blonde responds to the husband, "Shut up, you're next. Ha ha."
The blood hair color, making you into something for others to joke about since 1975. Welcome back to the BallRacer Guide, everything you need to know. You just heard from the lovely Emma. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Emma. She's really nice. She's one of the most awesome people on this entire site. And more than anything, she loves when random people send her friend requests. If you're one of those random people, I want you to take a look at these pictures. And don't do any questioning as to why I have them either. Anyway, who wouldn't want to be friends with her? You know, maybe she'll even add you back. But she won't add just anyone. If there's anyone she loves the most, well, besides me of course, it's pedos. All of the creepy people. And mooses. In fact, she may even be a pedo herself. Just send her a friend request anyway. Click this button. Oh wow, I've really gotten sidetracked now. What could this possibly have to do with BallRacer, you ask? Well, Emma is one of the higher level BallRacers out there, at nearly level 200. I'd like to take this time to tell you a little more about some of the people of BallRacer. Now, you can't talk about the people of BallRacer without first talking about Murti. Murti is a little nasty, shitty, fucking female slutty rodent, and is definitely not a robot. Not to mention he's over level 700 on the site, and blabs more than anyone I know. Next up is Frizzy. To quote a comment from another user, "Nice shirt, bruh." I mean, with that shirt and that hair, what's not to like? Not to mention he's like the most proest BallRacer ever. He's not even game level 300, yet he has world records at 37 of the 21 tracks. And you can't talk about Frizzy without talking about Waka Flocka. I mean, Big Daddy G-Zilla. I'm not going to talk much about him, and you'll see why later on in this hour. Then there's Josh, and as you can see by his activity feed, all he does is get gold medals at BallRacer. He's well over level 500, and levels incredibly fast for his level. And, I quote, "All the noobs say he's the best at BallRacer because he only plays with the noobs," end quote. But you can't argue with that game level. Then there's Jasper. Don't try to hide your true identity with names like Fernsey. We all know that you're really just Jasper in disguise. Jasper doesn't play BallRacer much anymore, but I couldn't profile the best without mentioning him, since he dominated me 11-1 in the last tournament. Good times, good times. He's working on being over level 100 in 4 different games. That's just insane. Wait, there are moose on OMGPOP? Well yeah, there's old Stern Moose. I was kinda hesitant to include him, since he's not a real person, just a moose. Speaking of moose, here comes the pedo moose, everybody! And last but not least, Elvo, 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 Elvo. At the time of me recording this, he had just passed me in BallRacer level at 234, and he was reset back to level 1 a few months ago after being over 200. I've never seen anyone level as fast as him. Well, that profiling was fun and all, but if I don't get back to the guide soon, we'll never finish this video. So let's hurry back to the shortcuts. Road ends. Now they call this when road ends because there is a pit to the end of the track that most noobs fall into. You shouldn't have to worry about it too much. The main shortcut of this track, you're going to hold right and up and double jump boost over the loop, and you'll skip most of the track. You'll end up in the curves before the finish. You can jump over, and you won't have to worry about the curves either. You'll get to the finish, go in this loop, and make sure you slow down before the pit and you can jump over. But You'll get beaten a lot this way, because there is a much faster shortcut. You're going to go in this loop and slow down. Then you're going to go back up to the left, and you're going to jump boost out, and back up the ramp, and you'll land on the finish. If you hold right as you fall, you can bounce over to this platform, and jump back over the pit to the finish. Now, there are many ways to do the end of this track. The main one, you're going to make sure you get to that checkpoint. And if you get lucky, you can jump off the corner and get to the finish. With a good landing, you can skip jumping back over the pit completely. If you land just right on the platform above the finish, you can barely bounce off and land on the same platform as the finish. You can also use the little ice loop to your advantage. As you fall down, hold jump, and you can jump onto this ice loop, and then turn around, and you can roll off of it to the finish. Now, if you have two boosts, your first boost won't be as powerful, so it'll be harder to make it over. If you just barely make it over, you'll hit this loop, and you'll fail. If you do have two boosts, you can still make it up in one. If you can make it up in one, you want to use your second boost on the way down. Even if you do fall into this pit and hit the checkpoint, you can still jump over for a similar time as before. Now, if you do go the long way and have boosts, there's another shortcut. You can slow down here, and when you would jump over this curve, you can boost jump over this curve, and if you're lucky and do it well, you can land right on the finish. Blah blah. Now, at blah blah, the finish is right underneath the start, but you have to go a long way to get there. You're going to hold right here, and you'll go up this very tall wall. If you jump in the curve at the top, you can come down a little faster. There's a sweet spot on this second ramp, where if you jump in just the right spot, you can fall in this hole while skipping the loops on the right. And then at the end, you're going to want to boost jump up the ramp to the finish, as it's faster than just a normal boost. Now, if you're having trouble hitting that sweet spot, you can just slow down a lot up this ramp, and you can hit it, and then hit that loop, and you'll skip both loops on the right almost as effectively. Now, let's say you miss the sweet spot, even by just a little bit. Well, you'll end up on the right, but you don't want to go through those loops. So you can ramp over here and boost down, and you can still get a pretty decent time. And if you hit the sweet spot just perfectly and fall down just right, you can jump over the two loops here and go to the finish with a really fast time. Roller coaster. Now, roller coaster is another pretty complex track to get a good time at. In the first loop, you're going to get the boosts, and as soon as you get out of the first loop, you're going to slow down, and I mean slow down, because you want to go as low as possible to get down for the rest of the track. You're also going to want to slow down in the second loop. I jump here to make that easier, and then you're going to jump in the ice here to get out. Then you're going to wall jump off here, and if you have multiple boosts, use one here. And then you're going to jump into the end and wall jump and use your remaining boosts to the finish. It's also possible to skip either the first or second loop, or even both, although it's very advanced. Easy Street Town. Now, Easy Street Town is pretty straightforward, but there are a few things you can do to improve your time. At the end of this ramp at the start, jump, so you get some speed and get the boosts. Then jump off that curve. Now, if you jump into this lower part of the track, like I did with boost here, not only do you get there faster, but you also get 2 extra boosts. And then at the end, you're going to want to jump off this curve and use all the boosts you have left to get a good time. If you end up going in the top section, just slow down. And it's also possible to go over this loop, and then you can boost to the finish, but it is one of the hardest shortcuts there is. Modern. Now, modern is like Balls Lulls and an easy start from earlier, where you can fall off the left side. Now to jump over, you'll do the same thing you did with Balls Lulls, start going left and then double jump over. Then you're going to roll off slowly. And this curve, the ice curve at the end, you're going to roll off of it, and then you're going to double jump in here to the finish. The bots at the end is pretty tricky. Like Balls Lulls, you can also do the reverse boost jump at the start to save some time. But you gotta watch your speed so you fall off slowly. You can also do the bots a little easier but more tricky if you jump early and then let your momentum carry you to the finish. Let's say you fail the shortcut, or you just want to try it with no boost. It's also possible with some fancy jumping. And if you did it on your first jump and still have boost, you boost on the way down, and you can get to the finish really fast. There are also some weirder shortcuts at Modern that aren't as practical, like this one that isn't even on the guide. You can get to the finish in around 20 seconds, but because you can do the shortcut in under 15 really easily, don't bother. The Gusher. Now a lot of people, including me, despise this track because it's so random. Your speed at the beginning, for example, is completely random how fast you get propelled out of the start. Anyway, you're going to jump in the two curves at the beginning. Then you're going to jump in this loop to speed up. Then you're going to slow down a bit so it's easier to jump in this hole. Then the way I do it is I boost into these rubber curves so I can get some good speed. And then just do a wall jump here and get some good speed going to the finish for a pretty good time. You may have also saw here that it's possible to skip this loop if you jump at just the right time. You can also skip these curves if you jump just the right way. Although this is also random. And then if you don't mind losing speed here, and you want to save your boost for the end, you can boost on this wall jump to go even faster towards the finish. Well, I hope you're all doing good so far. We'll be back in a few minutes with a few tips and tricks on how to get better at BallRacer. Oh wait, isn't that what we've been doing this entire video? Well, trust me, this next section will change your life. So don't you dare leave. You don't want to miss what's coming up after these words from our sponsors. OMGPOP, racing your balls since 2006. Guess what? I am not a robot. Guess what? I am not a robot. Yo, T, I'm really happy for you, and I'm gonna let you finish, but G-Zilla was one of the best ball racers of all time. Greg, this was supposed to be Muti's acceptance speech for the Shut up, fool! I'm G-Zilla, baby, and I'm a ball racer pro racing a blue magic reindeer in a rainbow globe. Yeah, wherever I go, I'm making BallRacer look good, posting nasty times all day. World of BallRacer craft, what's your game? Welcome back to the BallRacer Guide, everything you need to know. You just heard from Big Daddy G-Zilla, which is why I said earlier that I didn't need to sell him at all. He did all the work himself. So, I promised some tips that will change your life. Well, brace yourself, because what I'm about to show you is nearly as awesome as Big Daddy himself. So, when I was recording for this video, I eventually got down to where I had just a few tracks I needed certain footage of. Well, when you only need 2 or 3 tracks, who wants to sit through and play all 21 just to get to the ones you want? Well, as you know, the tracks in BallRacer cycle through in a predefined order, and to play the next track in line, you don't even have to finish the previous track. In fact, you don't even have to start it. All you have to do is let the track start loading, then quickly leave the match and create a new one, and voila! screw I don't know, we can skip it and go straight to Hourglass. But even then, if you only want to practice Hourglass, you'll have to skip to the other 20 tracks each time, or refresh to reset the queue at BallRacer, which can be very time consuming. If you have friends who are willing to help you out, there is a much easier way. Let's say you want to practice Hourglass. Just ask one of your good friends to do you a favor. If they agree, like Jenna did here, just get them to make a match playing alone at the track before the one you want to practice. In this case, I don't know. Then join her match, then leave and create a new one, and you should be on Hourglass. And the best part about this method is, if you fail your shortcut and want to try again, you don't have to sift through 20 other tracks. You can simply join Jenna's match again and again, each time you wish to repeat. Although if you fail too much, your friend could get fed up with the wait, and result in possible side effects such as spamming, fever, swelling, or back pain. Also, make sure to tell your friend when you are finished. We wouldn't want to leave Jenna alone to AFK at I don't know for hours on end, or would we? I don't know, she loves AFKing almost as much as she loves this shirt I'm wearing. Anyway, we have just 6 tracks left to cover, so let's get back to the guide.
Right. No, left. No, right.
Anyway, this track's pretty straightforward, but there are a lot of difficult portions of it. You're going to start off, and just like in Gusher before, you're going to jump in the curves. And this is the key to going faster, as you can save almost just a full second by jumping right. Then you're going to come up on the shortcut. You're going to double jump boost, boosting after the jump of course. And if you do it right, you can wall jump perfectly off the first wall, and then off the next 2. And then you're going to jump here to get that boost, and you're going to do some jumping in the loop at the end to get a pretty good time. If you do have a boost at the end, you're going to jump boost on the way down and get to the finish even faster. No, it's a great idea. There are a lot of different shortcuts you can do with this track, so we'll be spending a lot of time. The first one, you're going to double jump over this loop at the start. It's the most basic shortcut on the track. Now, continuing with the main shortcut, you're going to go through this loop here, jumping a little bit to get more speed. And you're going to come up on the shortcut. You're going to have to slow down to do this, and then you're going to double boost jump over. And then, once you land, you're going to go in this smaller loop, and you're going to save your boost for the end, and you'll get a pretty good time. Now you can also boost jump over the loop at the start. This is very risky if you're going for a good time, because if you don't get that boost in the loop, you won't be able to do the shortcut at all. There's another shortcut you can do. There is a little gap right before the loop, where if you jump right and hit it, you can slow down enough to fall in, and then boost over, and then you'll end up in the loop right before the finish. This is another way to get a pretty good time. Unlike Jenna, who got a crappy 30-second time in this video. Now if you want boosts, you can jump right after the boosts and make it over this loop in only one jump. And then you can do the same shortcut where you hit the loop and go in the gap. But because you have 2 coins in this case, you'll go farther, and you'll be farther along and closer to the finish. You'll get a better landing as well. Now, you'll have to know how to do the long way if you don't get boosts. Now the key is right before the ice, you're going to want to get some momentum going in. So you're going to slow down and wall jump off there onto this ice part. Jump up here, get the boost, make some more wall jumps before the ice, and then you'll have boosts for the end. And you can still get an alright time, better than Jenna's 30 seconds. And at the end you can also jump here and fall through there, but it's pretty risky. And there are also some really lucky bounces you can get on this track, and I still don't know how I did this, but I just had to put it in my video. Noob tracks. I'm sorry. New 3 tracks. Okay, this is maybe the most straightforward track out there. You have basically 2 options. The first one, which is faster yet harder, is to jump over this pit, and then jump, jump, and boost on the third jump to jump over the first ramp, then hold jump in the ice, and slow down to go over the second ramp. Your other option is to jump over the pits and slow down for the first ramp. Then after you land, you're going to double jump boost over the second ramp. Whichever way you do, you'll be looking at a time around 25 seconds, although with the first method you can get low 24. If you get lucky and you hit the tip of the first ramp, you can hold jump and possibly make it over both ramps in one jump. And it's also possible to skip the loop at the end to save yourself even more time, although it's very difficult. The Oregon Trail. Now this might be the most complicated track out there. There is a lot to learn. There are two ways to get out of the start. The first way, you go all the way up to the right, and then you're going to go back out through the loop. You can boost there if you need to. The second way to get out is use the platform in the middle. So you climb up, and then jump onto the first platform, and then jump out. Both ways are about the same speed. Whichever way you do, your next step is to slow down on this ramp, so you can slow on the ice, and fall into this hole. Then, once you come down, slow down so you can make it under the loop without touching it. Then at the end, you're going to slow down by jumping at the end, so you can fall in here, and then you're going to jump and hit your wall jumps at the end, especially the one before the ice, and then jump boost, if you have it, to the finish. Another way to do the middle part, which is more difficult but faster, you're going to slow down and you're going to go up there and jump. You'll get a good landing, which will be faster and make it easier to get to the finish. There are also some weirder shortcuts, like you can jump here and then jump off this corner and come down, but they're more advanced, so don't try them until you've mastered the basics. 1980. And no, 1980 would not be a good time here, just saying. The main way to do this shortcut, you're going to hold right to fall off, then you're going to hold right and up, jump, jump, and boost after the third jump to go over the loop, but not too fast. Then you're going to jump in this curve to get a good speed towards the finish. A good time is 11 seconds or anything underneath. Second way, you're going to hold left once you roll off and slow down. You're going to jump into the loop and then boost jump over. Both ways are about the same. I find that one more complicated because you just have more things to do. But it's the only way to do the left side if you wanted to try it. You jump into the loop, then you go back up and boost jump over. Now the left side, you have to slow down a lot because it's a lot shorter, which is why many people say it's faster if you do it right. But because it is a lot shorter on the left side, if you don't slow down enough, you will go over the track. Sometimes you just won't land right on the left side too. Sometimes you'll fall down, so you'll need to know how to do the long way. And to succeed at the long way, you have to be very good at wall jumps. And you boost and then jump off this curve at the end to get a really good time. Robot versus bear. My money's on the bear here, not gonna lie. Most people say robot, but I beg to differ. Now what you're gonna do, there is a small hump in this ramp that's hard to notice, but you will notice it. Right after it, you're going to jump and double boost jump over. Now you're gonna wanna pick up the boosts, if possible. Sometimes you won't be able to, but if you can pick up these boosts, you'll set yourself up for the shortcut. You're gonna jump and double jump and use 2 boosts to get over. Then in this loop, you're going to slow down so you're able to jump into the finish, and then you're going to wall jump. And if you have a boost left at the end, try to boost on the last wall jump to go even faster. Sometimes you just won't get the boosts for this shortcut, and it gets frustrating. But you can still effectively do the long way and get a good time. So what you're going to do is you're going to boost on that wall jump, and if you're lucky enough, you might be able to skip this loop at the end. And you'll still settle in for a pretty good time because odds are not many people are going to get the main shortcut. It's pretty tough. Let's say for some reason you didn't get the first shortcut and you're forced to go the long way. Well, there's a crazy shortcut here that I don't like much. You can jump and double boost over, but you've already set yourself up for failure. So there you have it. Shortcuts for all of BallRacer's 21 tracks on video. And a tutorial for all of them. So what's left to do? Well, after a word from our sponsors, I'm going to come back and I'm going to, well, show off a bit. I'm just going to do all 21 tracks and just show you what a pro BallRacer does. Be right back.
Fuck Sopa!
Oh, damn it. I probably shouldn't be using that intro piece, seeing as it was created by Little Karibo and not me. If Little Karibo sees this video and decides to take action, I could be fined or sent to jail. But anyway, back to the BallRacer guide, everything you need to know. I've just showed you shortcuts for all 21 tracks, but there is a more serious issue here at hand. It's called internet censorship. You see, the government is working to pass bills to prevent copyrights from being infringed upon, therefore benefiting corporations, such as those in the music and big business industries. But by doing this, they're limiting our rights as citizens to free expression. Why did I choose the music I did in this video? Because I feel that it expresses me as an individual, and it's what I wanted to use for that reason. Yes, it belongs to someone else, but I am in no way claiming it as my own. In the past, the worst thing that could potentially happen is for my video to be taken down due to copyright infringement, which has happened to me a few times in the past. But we're entering a new age, the age of SOPA, PIPA, and ACTA. SOPA, the Stop Online Piracy Act, PIPA, the Protect IP Act, and ACTA, the Anti-Counterfeiting Trade Agreement, all have similar goals of protecting the intellectual property of content creators, but with the side effects of restricting our fundamental rights, such as freedom of expression and communication privacy. I used a 4-second clip of a song by Johnny Berry in this video. I referenced the corporate giant McDonald's, and even filmed one of their stores. I wore a Boston Red Sox shirt that has trademarks all over it. I could be in serious trouble with the law for any of these things. We all need to get together and protest the bills SOPA, PIPA, and ACTA. These bills were proposed by government big shots, and only directly benefit large industries that are close to these government big shots, leaving all of the regular people like us in the dust. Without YouTube, for example, where could this video be? Seriously guys, don't let the government control us. Let's create a resistance. But first, I should probably inform the authorities about all the copyright material I used in this video. BallRacer, DinglePop, and all video footage used in this video is from OMGPOP.com, copyright 2006-2012. Waka Flocka is a state chain copyright of Rocky and Malfors 2008. No monetary gains included from mentioning his name or likeness in this video. If Waka Flocka wished to have any kind of money that I would potentially make, he can have it. The container of Pringles that can be seen in the background of my video is copyright of Diamond Foods Inc. 1968-2012. And seriously, if I wanted to get any kind of monetary gain by having a box of Pringles in the background of my video, well, I'll be damned. Okay, well now that all of that copyright business is over, time to demonstrate my abilities as a professional BallRacer. And be warned, you may see a shortcut or two here that I did not explain in the guide. This either means that they're extremely advanced, or I just wanted to keep how to execute it a secret until more people find out about it. So without further ado, here's the official remake of my previous BallRacer video, where I show off all 21 tracks. Enjoy! Well, that's all I have for you today. This may be the last BallRacer video I ever make, as I hope that this one was comprehensive enough that no additional videos will be necessary. Since you made it all the way through to the end of my video, please not only subscribe to my channel, but also leave some feedback about this video in the comments section. And to all of you who are watching this in the initial live stream on SyncTube, I just want to thank you all for being here. You mean the world to me. I'm not joking. I don't know where I'd be without you guys. I'm glad you were able to sit through my boringness for a full hour. You're the best friends a magic reindeer can have. And back to everyone, I hope you've learned something from this video. I hope it inspired you to become a better BallRacer, or at least to stand up to the government. Have a good night, and remember, stay classy, San Diego. Swag out.